Step into the vast, mind-bending universe of the Three-Body Problem series by renowned science fiction author Cixin Liu. Embark on a journey that spans over 18 million years. From the fall of Constantinople in 1453 to the distant future of 18,903,729 AD, this timeline unravels the incredible saga of humanity's encounter with an alien civilization. Witness the birth of interstellar conflicts, the rise and fall of human civilizations, and the discovery of profound cosmic truths, all under the looming shadow of the brutal dark forest theory. In just 20 minutes, dive deep into the twists and turns of this epic story where human survival, betrayal, and the fate of the universe hang in the balance. Get ready to explore the history of humanity's most perilous encounter and discover the stakes of a cosmic game that could determine the future of every living being. This isn't just a story, it's a journey through time, space, and the unknown. Four light years away, the Trisolaran civilization struggles under the rule of three suns that orbit in erratic, unpredictable paths. After enduring over 100 cycles of destruction and rebirth, the Trisolarans have decided to flee their home planet. In 1453, as Sultan Mehmed II's army laid siege to Constantinople, a woman who had come into contact with four-dimensional fragments claimed that her magic could help the emperor kill Mehmed. However, her magic could not save the dying empire. As the four-dimensional fragments departed Earth, the Byzantine Empire fell and the brief era of magic came to an end. In 1947, Yewenjie was born. In 1967, Yewenjie witnessed her father and younger sister beaten to death before her eyes. In 1968, the Red Coast Base, established to search for extraterrestrial civilizations, was founded. In 1969, Yewenjie was wrongfully imprisoned in the Daxing'anling Mountains. In 1971, Yewenjie discovered the solar amplification effect, using the sun to broadcast signals into outer space. This marked humanity's first message to the cosmos. Centered on the sun, the signal spread at the speed of light, traveling deeper into the universe. At that moment, Yewenjie, still reeling from her personal tragedies, failed to realize that by pressing the transmission button, she had irrevocably altered humanity's fate. In 1975, number 11379, listener from the Trisolaran civilization, responsible for monitoring extraterrestrial signals, received Yewenjie's message. He attempted to warn humanity not to respond or further expose its position to avoid bringing about its doom. In 1979, Yewenjie received a warning from the Trisolaran system. However, she believed that a highly advanced civilization would have similarly advanced moral standards. Driven by this belief, she ignored the warning and replied, "Come here, I will help you take this world." From then on, the location of the solar system was locked onto by the Trisolarans. In 1982, Yewenjie left the Red Coast Base and returned to Tsinghua University. That same year, she met Evans, a proponent of species communism, and the two found common ground. In 1985, Evans inherited his father's $4.5 billion fortune. Through communications with Yewenjie, she introduced him to the Red Coast Base and the Trisolaran world. With this fortune, Evans supported the Earth Trisolaran Movement, ETO, and construction of the Judgment Day supership began. In 1987, the Red Coast Base was shut down. In 1988, the Judgment Day was completed. Evans invited Yewenjie aboard. The Earth Trisolaran Movement was officially founded with Yewenjie as its supreme leader. This day is considered the birth of the ETO. In 2007, number 11379, listener from the Trisolaran world, was discovered by the Trisolaran leadership for his communication with Yewenjie and was executed. That same year, the Trisolaran fleet set off towards Earth and instructed the ETO to spread panic, establishing cults on Earth. Simultaneously, the Trisolarans attempted multiple proton experiments. The first failed, resulting in one-dimensional rain. The second led to a three-dimensional crisis in the Trisolaran world, nearly destroying their planet. Finally, the third experiment succeeded. 2 protons called Sophon were sent to the solar system, locking down Earth's scientific foundation, rendering all accelerators inoperable and halting progress in basic physics. In 2007, Wang Miao began to see a countdown of flickering numbers from the universe, plunging him into a mental crisis. Shi Qiang found him and helped him recover. By the end of 2007, Wang Miao joined the Trisolaran online game. Through the game, he experienced the destruction of 3 Trisolaran epochs and began to suspect a link between the game and reality. Eventually, through his encounters with other players, Wang uncovered Ye Wenjie's secret as the leader of the ETO. The Earth Federation used ultra-high-strength nanowires to slice the Judgment Day into countless fragments, arresting Ye Wenjie and key ETO members. The secrets of the Trisolaran world and the Sophons were gradually unveiled. During a conference on Trisolaran civilization, the Trisolarans arrogantly declared to humanity, "You're us." In 2008, the first year of the crisis era, Zhang Beihai was appointed political commissar of the Tang aircraft carrier. The special UN General Assembly convened. That autumn, Ye Wenjie passed away. From 2008 to 2010, the Planetary Defense Council (PDC) developed the Wallfacer project, selecting 4 individuals as wallfacers. Their plans were kept entirely in their minds, with access to all Earth's resources and no need to explain their actions. Cixin joined the PDC's Strategic Intelligence Agency (PIA) and met its director, Thomas Wade. At their first meeting, Wade introduced the ladder plan. The first phase of the ladder plan was rejected, and Thomas Wade proposed an advanced plan, placing human brains into probes to monitor the movements of the Trisolaran fleet. The UN then passed euthanasia and Starlink legislation. Yun Qianming bought the D-3906 Star as a gift for Cixin, but before he could carry out euthanasia, Cixin intervened. Eventually, Yun Qianming was persuaded to donate his brain to be sent aboard a probe to the Trisolaran fleet, after which he was never heard from again. In 2011, the Asian Space Army was formed. The Special UN General Assembly passed Resolution 117, declaring escapism illegal, promoting global technological collectivization and adopting the Defend Our Homeland, Never Flee strategy. That same year, Shi Qiang escorted Luo Ji to the UN headquarters. Meanwhile, Radiatz proposed a plan for stellar nuclear bombs, create 1 million hydrogen bombs, detonate them on Mercury, and use Mercury's fall into the Sun to trigger a chain reaction that would destroy all the planets, rendering the solar system uninhabitable, as a means to threaten the Trisolaran civilization. Taylor introduced the macro-atomic weapons plan to form a suicide fleet equipped with ball lightning weapons, attempting to quantumize Earth's military forces and fight the Trisolaran civilization with immortal bodies. Hayes launched a brain science program, the Thought Seal, a technique to implant any information into the human brain, ensuring the person believes it without question. In 2011, Luo Ji, enjoying his wallfacer privileges, fell in love with Zhuangyan. That year, the Hubble 2 space telescope was launched, and humanity detected traces of the Trisolaran civilization for the first time. In 2017, Wallfacer Taylor's quantum fleet plan was revealed by a wallbreaker. The public could not accept such a suicidal attack and condemned Taylor. Eventually, Taylor, in despair, took his own life, and the other 2 wallfacers entered hibernation. That same year, the UN forcibly placed Luo Ji's wife and children into hibernation to compel him to fulfill his wallfacer duties. Luo Ji fell into a frozen lake, where he had a revelation about the universe's truth, the dark forest theory. Immediately, the Star Curse plan was initiated, and he chose a star system, 1187 G3X1, sending its coordinates into space. On that day, 10 droplet probes from the Trisolaran fleet set course for Earth, and Luo Ji was attacked by the ETO's gene weapons, falling into hibernation until medical technology could cure him. At the end of 2017, Zhang Beihai assassinated several aerospace experts in space, believing these leaders would hinder interstellar travel. To him, these sacrifices were a necessary cost for humanity's future. That year, the commander arrived at the airport to bid farewell to the soldiers who would reinforce the future. As a devout soldier, Zhang Beihai entered hibernation, awaiting his future mission. His sleep capsule froze his time until he was awakened to lead humanity in battle against the droplets. In 2019, the first Trisolaran fleet passed through the second dust cloud. In 2022, the ship project relying on non-traditional propulsion technologies officially began. In 2026, wall-facer highs and radiats were awakened. That year, highs perfected the thought seal technique and began implanting ideas in the minds of defeatists. In 2029, highs entered hibernation once again. In 2031, wall-facer radiats conducted a nuclear test on Mercury. However, the plan was exposed by a wall breaker, forcing radiats to flee back to his home country. There, he faced public outrage and was eventually stoned to death. From 2044 to 2133, the Great Depression era began. A sharp sense of crisis spurred rapid advancements in human space technology. To join the arms race, humanity abandoned environmental protection, leading to a global economic crisis and severe famine. The Earth's population shrank from 8 billion to 1.5 billion. Humanity endured the Great Depression and a second renaissance, ultimately emerging from despair. That dark and terrifying era became the last trace in history. From 2134 to 2153, the Great Depression era ended, and the space fleet was rebuilt. The three major space fleets merged into one independent nation, forming a powerful military force. Earthlings arrogantly dismissed the Trisolaran invasion and the Wallfacer project as a joke. In 2162, the star system 1187 G3X1 was destroyed by unknown light particles. In 2207, Ding Yi woke from hibernation. He applied to be the first person to investigate the droplet probes, and his request was approved. In 2214, Luoji's wallfacer status was revoked, and the wallfacer project was abolished. Luoji reunited with Shi Qiang, only to face 6 assassination attempts initiated by the Killer 5.2 system. That same year, Highs was betrayed by his wife, revealing that the thought seal implanted in soldiers' minds did not convey a belief in humanity's victory, but rather a prophecy of humanity's defeat. Zhang Beihai awoke from hibernation, joined the Asian fleet, and became the captain of natural selection. Beyond the Oort cloud, the droplet probes slowed as they prepared for the final battle. Zhang Beihai piloted natural selection in a desperate escape, staring at the distant stars on the star map. He knew that only by fleeing Earth and finding a new home could humanity's civilization have a chance to survive. The Trisolaran fleet's droplet probes finally reached the solar system. Ding Yi, investigating the probes, found that their atomic nuclei were tightly bound and the vibrations of the objects had nearly ceased. This stable state could only be achieved through the strong nuclear force. The Trisolarans were demonstrating their power in this way. A chilling silence spread among the investigation team, but soon Ding Yi screamed in terror, "Run!" In the final battle, over 2,000 human warships were annihilated within minutes. The surviving Earth escape ships, struggling with resource shortages and communication delays, fell victim to an intensified chain of suspicion. Mutual distrust led to attacks, leaving only Blue Space and Bronze Age as the survivors. Zhang Beihai, as the progenitor of the new humanity, ultimately perished in the Starry Sea. The droplet probes entered the Sun's synchronous orbit and began to implement a full-band blockade of the Sun. At the same time, Luoji's wallfacer status was restored, and he led the Snowfield project, fine-tuning the positions of nuclear bombs in space. In 2218, Luoji was cast down from his pedestal by a despairing crowd. That November, he spoke with the Trisolaran representatives at Ye Wenjie's tomb. His wrist system, upon his death, would trigger hydrogen bombs in space, ultimately turning the Sun into a cosmic lighthouse, revealing Earth and the Trisolaran world's coordinates. The Trisolarans finally conceded, changing their fleet's course, lifting the Sophon blockade and teaching humanity advanced technology. The crisis era came to an end, and the deterrence era began. Luoji became the first sword-bearer, and history would remember his victory forever. Deterrence era, year 12. The Bronze Age returned to the solar system. All crew members were arrested, and the officers aboard the ship were tried for crimes against humanity. The crew sent a warning to the blue spaceship, urging it not to return. Blue Space chose to continue fleeing, and the Earth government dispatched the gravitational force and droplet to join the pursuit. Deterrence era, year 61, Cixin awoke from hibernation, only to be assassinated by Wade, who had also just woken up. The Trisolarans, through cultural reflection, had altered the course of human civilization, leading to a gradual feminization of human society, which made the atmosphere increasingly uneasy. Many now longed for Luoji's judgment of the dictators and sought a new sword-bearer. Wade believed that if Cixin were elected, it would threaten humanity's survival. After the assassination attempt failed, Wade was captured, and Cixin decided to run for sword-bearer. Deterrence era, year 62. The Earth's blue space starship, still on the run, accidentally entered a high-dimensional fragment space. The crew witnessed the process of the four-dimensional world collapsing into the three-dimensional world, and the related footage was transmitted back to Earth. Deterrence era, year 62, on November 28th, after 54 years of direct deterrence, Wallfacer Luoji transferred supreme control, handing over control of the gravitational wave cosmic broadcasting system to Cixin. Immediately after stepping down, Luoji was arrested on charges of causing the extinction of a world civilization. He was to stand trial for destroying an alien planet 50 light-years away. 15 minutes after the transfer of power, the droplets, concealed in the asteroid belt of the solar system, began their advance toward Earth. 30 minutes after the handover, the droplets reached the surface of Earth, swiftly destroying gravitational wave launch stations across North America, Europe, and Asia. At the same time, they suppressed the Sun's radio wave amplification function, completely obliterating the equipment used to broadcast the coordinates of the Trisolaran civilization. The world seemed to return to normal, but it was no longer a world belonging to humanity. 60 days after the deterrence ended, the Sophon released a public address, announcing that humanity must migrate to the reserve colony in Australia. During the Great Migration, resistance movements began to rise on Earth, and the resistance forces made tremendous sacrifices to battle the Trisolaran security forces. The crew of the Blue Space successfully defeated the pursuing droplets with the help of higher dimensional fragments. Upon learning that the Earth deterrence had been lifted, the gravitational wave ship broadcast the coordinates of the Trisolaran world to the cosmos. 2 Star-class warships formed the Starfleet Earth, setting sail for the distant star seas. Deterrence era, year 63. The Trisolaran civilization finally discovered the coordinates of their world, and the solar system had been broadcast. The Trisolaran fleet changed course, with Sophon and droplets preparing to leave the solar system. As the science officer aboard the gravitational wave ship stated, Earth's doom was imminent. Humanity had entered the era of broadcasting. On Earth, people gradually returned to their homes, and the movement to judge the traitors began in full force. Broadcasting era year 7, Cixin met with Yun Qianming at the Lagrange point. Through Yun Qianming's story, the principle of the curvature engine was revealed. Faced with the threat of the Dark Forest, humanity proposed various countermeasures, ultimately choosing the shelter plan. Broadcasting era, year 60, Thomas Wade was released from prison. Cixin handed over the Star Ring Company to Wade and entrusted him with the development of a faster-than-light spaceship. Wade promised to wake Cixin if any event occurred during the spaceship's development that could endanger human life. That same year, Cixin decided to enter hibernation again, and humanity entered the era of the shelter. Shelter era, year 11. Wade, in order to conduct illegal research on the curvature drive engine, declared the independence of Star Ring City. Cixin was awakened from hibernation and used their original agreement to convince Wade to surrender. Wade was executed and the curvature engine plan was put on hold. Shelter era, year 67. A more advanced civilization sent a 2-dimensional foil to the solar system. The Dark Forest strike followed shortly, and 50 hours later, the research ship was sucked into the 2-dimensional world, and the solar system began to transform into 2 dimensions. Cixin was awakened again. She met Luoji for the last time on Pluto. then boarded the only faster-than-light spaceship and left the solar system. Galactic Era, year 409, Cixin, on her way to meet Yun Qianming, accidentally entered the Black Domain. 18,903,729 years later, after escaping the Black Domain, 18 million years had passed. In the D3906 star, the last woman, Cixin, and the last man, Guan Yifan, entered a small universe to live. Billions of years later, due to the loss of too much mass from the universe to the thousands of billions of small universes, the universe stopped collapsing. Alien civilizations initiated a return movement, calling on beings with small universes to return the mass. Cixin gave up the material in her small universe to return to the harsh environment of the larger universe. However, in the small universe, Cixin left behind a 5-kilogram fishbowl-like ecological sphere. The ultimate fate of the universe remains unknown. And so concludes the story of the three-body problem. Humanity's arduous struggle against the Trisolaran civilization, spanning over 18 million years, reflects the long process of discovering the true universe, only to be obscured and lost in the vastness of time.